Work and learn. Meet Light Meet Max. සක්‍රිය කර ගැනීමට MySLT app එකට log වෙන්න. Work and learn. Meet Light Meet Max. සක්‍රිය කර ගැනීමට MySLT app එකට log වෙන්න.
0-calorie Lipton green tea that increases your metabolism. Let's stay fit with Lipton green tea.
හරිම සුළුයි.
Tonight on First at 9, this Sunday the 11th of December 2022. Change. President Ranil Wickremesinghe says the country's youth should be provided with the freedom to move forward.
The politics of this country has to change. We have succeeded in making the country which was second to Japan, now the country which is only on top of Afghanistan.
Says mitigation of climate change initiatives will be launched in Sri Lanka next year.
In Sri Lanka we will do all we can to mitigate climate change.
Opportunity. Sri Lankan Foreign Affairs Minister is hopeful that the current crisis provides the opportunity to launch essential reforms.
They say never let a crisis go away without making use of it.
Revenue generation. Minister of Industries says the government's support to process of liberalising the gem industry to boost its export earnings.
The Gem and Jewellery Authority shouldn't have an authoritarian control over the business. It should be a friendly facilitator.
From AdaDerana, this is AdaDerana First at 9 with Andrew Bernard. Live from Studio 24 in Colombo.
A very good evening and welcome to AdaDerana 24's English News. Now, the top story for tonight, President Ranil Wickremesinghe says the political culture in the country should change and the country's youth should be provided with the freedom to move forward. The head of state also said that the youth has the potential to create an economy that is digitalized, competitive and export-oriented. Addressing an installation ceremony of the Leo Club, President Wickremesinghe said mitigation of climate change initiatives will be launched in Sri Lanka next year and said that the government is willing to educate the people on climate change and its effects effectively.
An installation ceremony of Leo Club 306 C2 district was held at Royal College, Colombo this morning under the patronage of President Ranil Wickremesinghe.
We have just got the economy back. We still have to get the IMF agreement, go ahead and develop. But we know that we can survive and go ahead. So in this, the first issue is to ensure that the voice of the youth is heard. And for this purpose, we have recommended and the Parliament agreed that 5 youth should serve on every oversight committee. Now, unfortunately, there has been a delay because the parliamentarians and the parties are fighting as to who should have the chairmanship. We just sorted it out, and I think I've asked them in the next 2-3 weeks to give the criteria for youth appointments and how we are going to select them. I hope by end of January, early February, we will be able to have youth serving there. We are going to celebrate the 75th anniversary of our independence. Various projects being done all by adults. But we have to take the youth in. So we started the National Youth Platform. Youth can represent their view. We don't want to know about the last 75 years of independence. We want your views as to what the next 25 years should be. We like to work with everyone and give you the freedom to go ahead and you tell us what has to be done. Because the politics of this country has to change. We have succeeded in making the country which was second to Japan, now the country which is only on top of Afghanistan. So a lot of young people are voting with their legs and leaving the country. In my view, we can turn this around. Let's think of the future. Let's have an economic system that works for Singapore, that works for Japan, that works for China, that works for Korea, that works for Malaysia, that works for Thailand with us. We can, in the next 4-5 years, start developing that. We can have new sectors, people looking for exports. You all have the talent to make that economy. And I think it's you who should shape it. So I am asking the question from you, are you willing to take up the challenge? So we want you to participate. Participate with the government. Give us your views. Give us the views of other youth. So it's your future you're making. So all I can tell you now, it's your future, not mine. So then we have to have a future that suits you and not me. a digital economy, a prosperous country, good education system. We have difficult times. I still say next year also there will be difficulty. There are many problems to solve. But then when we solve it, the beneficiaries should be the youth. We are going to launch our mitigation of climate change initiatives next year. I have already established a climate change office. We will be having about 7 or 8 new laws that will come in. I want all of you to join in. I want you all to take part. You give us the projects and we will tell you what we can do to help you. We in Sri Lanka had decided that we will speak out openly on the need for meaningful action to stop climate change. In Sri Lanka, we will do all we can to mitigate climate change, and that has to be done by you all. And we want to educate the people on what climate change will result in.
Now, Central Bank Governor Dr. Nandalal Veerasinghe highlighted that even though the central bank has been tasked with maintaining price stability and keeping inflation down between 4% and 6%, provisions enabling the CBSL to finance a budget deficit through money printing negates its efforts to maintain low inflation and price stability. Making his comments to Indivari Amawatha on our current affairs program at Hyde Park on AdaDerana 24, he went on to say that the new Central Bank Act is expected to remove this provision, ensuring the independence of the central bank from the government's fiscal requirements.
You've been talking about central bank independence. Is it really attainable? Is it possible within Sri Lanka's political setup?
The main objective of central bank is to maintain price stability, that is to maintain low and stable inflation. Like in our case, we are supposed to maintain inflation between 4 to 6%. But if you look at the last 2-3 years, inflation from about 4 to 6% we had earlier gradually increasing and now ended up 70% maximum. Now it's coming down. So why we have failed? Because we have not been able to make monetary policy decision independently because of the fiscal dominance. For central bank to achieve its main objective, central bank should be able to implement proactive monetary policy on time without that being influenced by any other government or fiscal policy. What happened last 2 years, because some of the provision in the current Monetary Central Bank Act, which says if the government cannot finance their budget deficit, raising money through domestic market to external market, then the balance, there's a provision, central bank can print money and finance the deficit. That is what has happened in 2020 mainly, 2021 whole year, and to a certain extent 2022 as well. When the government fiscal policy, treasury asking to print money, the central bank does it, then it is inflationary. Central bank cannot meet its key objectives of inflation target. This is why in the new law, central bank monetary policy should not be influenced by the government or the parliament or by the fiscal policy. It's the authority of the central bank is responsible for maintaining country's finances, including the interest rates, interest in exchange rates, and maintaining sufficient level reserves for the whole country. The fiscal policy only a part of the country, taxpayers' money. That is the authority of the parliament. Central bank as a public institution, at the same time with the independence, it should be also accountable to the public, to the parliament. SME one will have impact on our interest rate policy. But what is the most important one is to curtail inflation. If you don't curtail inflation, no one can do business. If you go into a hyperinflation situation, all economy will collapse. Then we'll go to another crisis. But the positive impact of our policy is that now we see inflation has already peaked. It is on a downward path. The peak that was going to be 100%, we stop at 70%. And now it is coming down fast, and we will continue to see inflation coming down. With that, we think interest rates also should be coming down so that there will be a relief.
During your time so far, you've minted some 3.37 billion rupees every day. Is this even bearable to the Sri Lankan economy?
I think this is a very poor and incompetent knowledge of what they call money printing. Unfortunately, people who held high position at the central bank is still not competent enough to understand what money printing is. Money printing by the central bank is not the treasury bill holdings or what we purchase as treasury bill. It's only a part of the overall monetary expansion by the central bank. There are two components. One is what we call reserve money. The money central bank put out into the banking system for a period of time. Central bank put out 1 rupee to the banking system. 1 rupee can be made 8 rupees through this credit process. During the year 2020, the reserve money expanded by 31.6 billion. Earlier, it was much less. Then 2021, it expanded by 341 billion. It's almost 10 times of 2020. And 2022, from January to October, so far, it increased by only 47 billion. You can see the expansion was so huge in 2021, and we have been able to slow down the expansion and come to a very low level with the given inflation. So in 2020, currency in circulation, that is money in your hands, increased by 156 billion. It has increased by further 170 billion within the period 2021, and then so far this year it has increased by 21 billion. How this has happened? This is because we from the central bank, since I came in, we tightened the monetary policy, raised interest rates, currency those were in circulation came into the banking system, so that banks had a lot more liquidity than earlier.
Foreign Affairs Minister Ali Sabri was hopeful that the current crisis would provide the best opportunity for the nation to launch some much-needed reforms to the economy and legislature. He made these comments while addressing the launch of Volume 8 of the Foreign Policy Perspectives. Meanwhile, former chairman of the Human Rights Commission of Sri Lanka, Professor Pratibha Mahanama, says the law must be taught in school from grade 5 to strengthen the public's knowledge on human rights.
The launch of Volume 8 of the book Foreign Policy Perspectives, titled Human Rights Development and New Order 22/25, published by the Ambassadors Forum, was held in Colombo recently.
Within a short period of time, I think it is good that the people have spoken, and people have stood up and asked for accountability from the politicians. That's the way it should be, and politicians are now asked to deliver. 21st Amendment has come. We are in the process of preparing and institutionalizing the independent commissions, and we are in the process of recognizing the Corruption Convention by way of a law that will fight the corruption. We are in the process of removing the PTA. We are on the process of establishing Overseas Sri Lankan Office. We will be establishing by 1st of Jan in order to move with our people all over the world, irrespective of the race, religion, or whatever the differences. And we are also in the process of establishing a truth-seeking mechanism to address our issues domestically, so that outsiders have little role to play here, so that we resolve our problems in our country within our people. So there is a focused program which is happening. I think this is the best opportunity, because they say never let a crisis go away without making use of it. This is the time for economic reform, constitutional reform, power sharing reform. Let us do this and make use of it. As a team, it's important that whatever the differences we have, we must work for the betterment of our nation and our country. And I know so many people are leaving. It's heartbreaking to see the brain drain. But you can't blame them either. No, they are looking at their future and their families. So it is our duty who are staying back to create a situation so they will return and others will not go. Let us do that.
Now today, I think the most important right is not civil or political rights. It is right to feed oneself. Today, Sri Lanka, we are having a lot of economic issues. So we are not addressing those issues. Everyone is fighting for food. So the most important one, in the 21st century, we have to fight for economic rights, right to feed oneself. My main argument today, not rights, duties. Everyone talking about rights. Human rights are there. But are we doing our duties? We are all going for protest. That's good. But have we done our duties? All these organizations, I don't want to tell the names. So they must keep their hand to their heart and say, are we fighting after we are fulfilling our duties? We have to educate Sri Lanka. Do your duties first. After fulfilling your duties, you can fight for your rights. Sri Lanka, human rights, education is much important. Education for law should start from, my argument, from grade 5. Even we are fighting for Anti-Corruption Act. But have we studied these things? So law must be a part and parcel of GCO level, or even from grade 5 and GCA level, or universities. Otherwise, we can't protect them.
Now, opposition leader Sajith Premadasa will again continue to lead the Samagi Jana Balawegaya after the party reappointed him as a leader. The reappointment occurred at today's party convention, after which the opposition leaders said that a key priority of the future SJB government would be to drive state-owned enterprises towards profitability.
Organisers and members of the Samagi Jana Balawegaya, representing all districts of the island, converged at Campbell Park in Boralla at 2 p.m. today to participate in the 2022 annual convention. The partisans reached Campbell Park along Baseline Road in two processions, which began from Dematagoda and the Boralla intersections. Shortly after, the leader of the Samagi Jana Balawegaya, Sajith Premadasa, joined the procession too. During the convention, Sajith Premadasa was unanimously appointed as the leader of the SJB. In addition, Field Marshal Sarath Fonseca was reappointed as the party's chairman, while Ranjit Maddum Bandara secured his position as the secretary of the party.
Rajapaksa Paul Kalliya විනාශ කරපු මේ රට අපි ගොඩ ගන්නවා. මොනවද අපේ විසඳුම්? අද රටේ නිර්මාණය වෙලා තිබෙන අන්ත දරිද්‍රතාවයට තිරසර විසඳුම් ලබා දෙනවා. తాවකාලික පැලස්තර විසඳුම් වෙනුවට අනිවාර්යෙන්ම පාඩු ලබන රාජ්‍ය ආයතන ප්‍රතිව්‍යුහගත කරන්නට ඕන. ප්‍රතිසංස්කරණය කරන්නට ඕන. ඒකාබද්ධ ව්‍යාපෘති හරහා පබ්ලික් ප්‍රයිවට් පාර්ට්නර්ෂිප් හරහා අපි බලාපොරොත්තු වෙනවා පාඩු ලබන රාජ්‍ය ආයතන ලාභ ලබන ආයතන බවට පත් කරන්නට.
Now, after toxic weather conditions within the island prompted the closure of schools last week, students will again be led into classrooms from tomorrow. State Minister of Education Arvind Kumar announced that all government and government-approved private schools island-wide would reopen tomorrow. The Ministry of Education declared Friday a special holiday for all government and government-approved private schools after the air quality and weather deteriorated due to a dust cloud and a cyclone sitting above the island. The State Minister further said that the decision to reopen schools was taken after considering the improvement of the air quality and the weather, which the Disaster Management Centre has deemed as favourable. The Minister of Plantation Industries, Dr. Ramesh Patirana, said that the Gem and Jewellery Authority of the country should act only as a facilitator. While emphasizing that the authority must act in good faith, the minister further said that the government will take necessary measures to liberalize the industry in an attempt to efficiency its potential. Dr. Patirana urged the gem and industrialists to bring their export earnings to the country via formal channels and pass its benefits to the industry's mining community to uplift their living standards.
Congress 2022 of China Fort Gem and Jewellery Traders Association was held last evening in Beruwala under the patronage of Minister of Plantation and Industries, Dr. Ramesh Patirana.
I remember during the time of the economic calamity in India in early 1990s, then the Finance Minister of India, Mr. Narasimha Rao, mentioned three words. That's liberalization, privatization and globalization. I was trying to apply this to your industry, the Sri Lankan industry, which has about nearly 3,000-year history. You go on global, you go on to everywhere, you collect stones from different countries, you bring them here, do value addition and export. So it's truly a global business. It's privatized, it's more or less privatized. You do your business, which we should encourage. Whether it's a liberalized business is a different question. Yes, we need to truly liberalize your industry. So liberalization means the Gem and Jewellery Authority shouldn't have an authoritarian control over the business. He should be a friendly facilitator. As long as I work as a minister, we will try and provide whatever the support you may require to ensure that you liberalize and develop the industry in this country. But at the same time, let me also humbly request you all to bring that money through the official channel. That should be trickled down to the people of the other areas as well. I was wondering all this time, we get about $1.3 billion from tea industry by exporting. But quality of life for the tea pluckers in the hill country are appalling. They live in very poor conditions. It's a shame on us. It's a shame that we have not looked after the needs of the people of the tea plantations. And early 1990s, more than 450,000 people have worked for the tea plantations of the country. And since they do not look after them well, people have gone away from the tea plantations. Now only 150,000 people work for the tea plantations, nearly one-third of the people who worked in there some 20 years ago. Have you looked after the quality of the life of the people who mine in the different districts? It's a question to be answered. We have a social responsibility.
The former Vice-Chancellor of the Peradeniya University, Professor Atula Senaratne, was assaulted by a group of university students near his official residence and has been hospitalized due to injuries. The police media division said that the police revealed that some university students had an argument with Professor Senaratne and his son last night. The argument had erupted allegedly following the incident where two parked motorcycles had fallen onto the ground during an attempt made by the son of the former Vice-Chancellor to move them, claiming that his path was blocked by the motorcycle. Reportedly, around 300 university students had attacked and damaged the official university residence of the former Vice-Chancellor. Later, the Peradeniya police have arrived at the location of the incident and dispersed the crowd. 5 persons, including the former Vice-Chancellor's wife and 2 other individuals who were in the house, have reportedly been injured during the attack. According to police, Professor Atula Senaratne, who was injured in the attack, has been admitted to the Peradeniya hospital, while his son was admitted to the Kandy Teaching Hospital. So far, no one has been arrested in connection with the incident, while Peradeniya police is conducting further investigations. Now, 2 teams from the Criminal Investigation Department and the Sri Lanka Bureau of Foreign Employment left the island for Oman today to investigate the human trafficking racket. In a statement, the SLBFE mentioned that the team left the island yesterday under the directives of the Minister of Labour and Foreign Employment, Manush Nanakara, to investigate the incidents related to human trafficking connected to Sri Lanka. The team includes an additional general manager of the SLBFE, 3 investigation officers, a police inspector and a woman sub-inspector of the CID. Now, 2 suspects were arrested today by the police on assault charges. The police spokesperson, SSP Nihal Talduva, told AdaDerana that the suspects have allegedly assaulted a woman who was involved in a car crash that led to a death of a 3-wheeler driver in Kolpeti yesterday. According to the police, the incident occurred around 6:30 am. The car that collided with the 3-wheeler was carrying 5 persons returning from a nightclub in Bamalapitia and travelling towards Goldface. The vehicle's driver fled the scene soon after the accident. While passengers were assaulted by bystanders, they were later hospitalized for injuries. The deceased 3-wheeler driver was identified as a 58-year-old resident of Kathuduwa. Police media spokesperson Nihal Talduva said that the police had begun the search for the driver and recorded statements from the 2 hospitalized women, aged 29 and 31. And that's all the news we have for you this evening. Join us again tomorrow for the very latest news at the very same time. Have a pleasant evening and good night.
For news and information you can trust 24 hours a day, visit AdaDerana.lk.